First, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth with sincerity. Just shout out to Yakim that's out here in the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. You know, this being 2018, the year of prophecy, and we're seeing things unveil like no other time. You know, for such as a time as there never was, as we're seeing more places close. And so, you know. Want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, if I didn't say that already. And, you know, barakatha to all of you out here as we prophesy the downfall of America, Babylon the Great. So I'm just going to read out of the book of Nahum, chapter 3. Woe to the bloody city, it is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. You know, and that's of course talking about America, Babylon the Great. The horseman lifteth up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. Of course, it's talking about when this place, America, Babylon the Great, is destroyed, and then all the other kingdoms that were destroyed by America, Babylon the Great. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, which is talking about America, the mistress of witchcrafts that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts, which is what America does. It imposes its dictatorship, its rulership on other nations, you know, and saying that, you know, now, you know, there's no such thing as male or female. You know, that the rest of the world should adopt homosexual marriage, and, you know, and that's what America's done. Verse 6, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. And it shall come to pass that all that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid waste, a.k.a. America, Babylon the Great. Who will bemoan her? Whence shall I seek comforters for thee? Art thou bitter than populous? No, that was Sitchet among the rivers, and that had the waters round about it, whose rampart was the sea, and her wall was from the sea. And how do we know that this is talking about Babylon the Great? Well, isn't that in the so-called national anthem? For the ramparts we fought, we're so gallantly streaming. Isn't that in the so-called national anthem? Which a lot of jakes are refusing to worship that shit, you know? And, you know, it's coming out, you know? That everybody hates this fucking place because they're sick of it. They're sick of all this bullshit, you know? Yet she carried away, went into captivity. Her young children also were dashed in pieces at the top of all the streets, and they cast lots for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound in chains. You know, and of course it's talking about what they did to us, and then what's about to happen when they put everybody in these FEMA camps, which are all these closed places that I've been showing throughout the last couple of weeks. You know, that pretty much, you know, these stores are closing, and they're getting ready for FEMA. You know, getting ready to put people in these FEMA camps, and these are going to be holding places for that. Thou also what shall be drunk, and thou shalt be hid. Thou shalt also seek strength because of the enemy. All thy strongholds shall be like fig trees, with figs ripe, figs, if they shall be taken, and they shall even fall into the mouth of the eater. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide upon thine enemies. The fire shall devour thy bars. You know, it's talking about when this place is destroyed. Because this place is going to be destroyed soon after, you know, the time of Jacob's trouble, which we're approaching that very quickly. There shall the fire devour thee. Thy sword shall be cut off. It shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the locust. You know, and that's when this place is going to be destroyed. You know, and another code name for this is Assyria. You know, and isn't that where the Valley of Jehoshaphat is? In Syria? But this is Assyria, which is another place, because got to remember, we fled the captivity of Assyria and ended up over here. That is the northern tribes. The shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria, which is another code word for king of Babylon, which is another code word for America. Thy nobles shall dwell in thy dust. Thy people is scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathereth them. There is no healing of thy brows. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap the hands over thee, for upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually. And so, you know, we're seeing this place getting shut down, you know. Soon, you know, the only thing that's going to be left really are these Walmart FEMA centers, you know, because we know that Walmart's been working with Homeland Security, you know, to round people up. And it's, you know, pretty much, you know, that's why all these other places like Kmart and Walmart, you know, that pretty much, you know, I could even talk about Fairfield, where I used to live. You know, Walmart deliberately built next to Kmart so it would go out of business, you know. And so that's nothing more than an abandoned building there, you know. And, you know, Walmart's always run other business out of there, and that's for a reason. So everybody would just go to Walmart only, you know, because who does this affect? Low-income people. And the fact is, though, is that because Walmart obviously is the only store that people can afford, you know, because Esau's been a bully all along, you know. You're always made fun of, though, because you were a Kmart shopper when you were younger. Remember that shit, you know? Because you couldn't afford anything new, you know, you'd either shop at Mervyn's or at Kmart, you know, and, you know, kids made fun of you. Well, because they're goddamn Edomites, you know, because, you know, you don't come from so-called rich families, so you get made fun of. You know, and that's mostly dealing with blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and, of course, the confusion of face to be scattered among us. We were Israelites all along. You know, because we have those curses, you know, that we would be poor no matter where we are. And no matter what we look like, we would be poor, you know. We would never, so-called, get ahead. We would always be in debt, because that's what we are as debt slaves, you know, which is the same thing as slavery. That we would continue this captivity because the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28. So, you know, fact is, though, is that, you know, and Esau loves to use this argument. Well, you got a lot of white people that are poor, too. Yeah, most of them are confusion of faces, you know, because they're not Edomites. They're really actually confusion of faces, you know. And, you know, I'm not saying that every Edomite or every person that looks white is a confusion of face. That's not what I'm saying at all, you know, to not get this confused. But, you know, those that have the curses, you know, they're poor no matter what they do and all that, most likely they're confusion of face, you know, and you can just tell, you know, because if the Spirit resides and you can receive all this, then you're an Israelite, you know, and, you know, and that's how I found out who I was, you know, because it's like, you know, I was searching for answers, you know, and that's Esau's main trap, though, is, you know, get people into these churches, you know, which is what they're doing with old shopping centers, you know, converting those into churches, and just so they can continue to deceive, because they haven't much time left, you know. That Satan, who is the so-called white man, Esau, would only be loose for a certain season to go out to deceive the nations that are among the four quarters of the earth. And so we know we're in that season now, because this whole place is going to be lit up and become the lake of fire. America, Babylon the Great, will become the lake of fire. And so we know that things are going to be tightening a lot more as the famine of the word is coming, as it's happening now. I have to downsize to where in Revelation times is now just a backup of confusion of face reading. Why? Because of YouTube censorship. I got 2 strikes on the channel now. My videos are getting taken down. Other brothers' live streams are getting taken down. We are no longer teaching on 34th and Broadway anymore. You know, pretty much this thing is being taken down. Why? Because it's just about time. The Great Spirit's just about up. So get to a camp while you can. That's what I'm going to do. As soon as I get my Medi-Cal reinstated, man, I'm getting down to San Francisco. You know, because there's no future here in America. All this is going to be shut down soon. And we're seeing it at a rapid rate. as they continue to escalate this war and do more false flag events to draw people into the war. Shalom to Hofielek, and hopefully this has been edifying. Brakatah to all you out there.